The aim of tonight is just to update you on how I do things coming into the weekend, and just in light of the orders that I've had in. The dollar Canadian orders currently are still in the market, above and below. Now, I will leave those in another hour, just in case there is a sudden move down or up. It's almost impossible that you would get a move like that, but stranger things have happened. So I'll usually leave them in until a couple of hours before the close, and then I will pull them so they are cancelled from the book for Friday night, and then I'll re-enter them Sunday night. The reason I don't really want to keep them over the weekend is just in case there was, a big gap. So it's easy to just pull them and put them back in, which is what I'll do. But I do keep them in, like I said, until a couple of hours before the close, because there have been many times when I've been filled on a trade at, say, 7 p.m. at night, and it's just taken an hour or so before the close to get to its target, and it's been a nice end to the week. Now, if we move on to this order that I've got in the dollar yen, that's going to be treated the same way. I'm going to keep that in for another hour. I don't think it's going to get up there, but at that point it will be pulled, and that probably will not go back in Sunday night, because that was a ATR mean reversion trade. And if we close somewhere around here, then we're going to lose the factor of confluence, which is ATR. So if that doesn't fill tonight, then it will be cancelled. And I would only put that back in if it becomes the case that that level is past ATR again. You might notice what I've done with the green line there, which is the bid to cover if I get filled at the orange line, which is the last low pre-break. I've moved that bid up very slightly, just because we put that bearish engulfing in about an hour ago, and that's become the FTA. So it's diminished the R very slightly, but it's still acceptable. But that's how I approach targets. So yes, that has shifted slightly higher, but again, I think this trade is probably off the cards now. Now, I did get a message from someone today that said to me, I did really well in the yen futures, taking the trade idea that you outlined, it set up, and I had almost no drawdown and straight to target. So I don't look at the futures often for FX, but I pulled up the yen future, and obviously I can see exactly what happened here. So what I've done here is I've just gone on to the yen future and outlined the exact same trade. So because it's flipped, because we were going to be shorting dollar yen, which is buying yen. So if you're buying yen futures here, you can see that you'd be buying at the last high pre-break, stop underneath the thrust target of the FTA, and it worked very, very nicely, came into that level and then went straight to target. A lot of people were asking me the question of, if it's taken place on the future, would you still keep the order in the spot? And the answer is yes, I will. So the only other thing I have to say here is the order in BTC will stay in over the weekend, because it can be traded over the weekend. So I'm happy to keep that in. It is still past ATR. I would like it to be past ATR. If there comes a point that it's not past ATR, then I will pull that order, because it is only a relatively small level. On the higher time frames, it's not a huge level. It was always going to be a mean reversion trade of a last low pre-break past ATR, and hopefully on an accelerated move that takes out these highs. So again, shorts puke, longs initiate, and we come straight into an area like that, and it's very, very high probability. But I would like it past ATR, so you want to keep your eye on those ATR boundaries, and if at any point ATR is behind the entry, especially if it's behind where your stop would be, that order would get pulled, and you'd want to pull it, in my opinion. Phoenix, your question, will this strategy work on altcoins and so on? The feedback I've had from students is that it works in everything you take it into. I've got traders taking it into stocks, which I don't trade. I have got traders that have taken it into altcoins and that are doing well. But I can't tell you it does, because I don't do it myself. So the feedback I've had is that it works, but you, in all honesty, should take that with a pinch of salt and try it for yourself. Because a few people saying to me this works really well is not conclusive proof. I could really only tell you that it works if I've actually done it, or I've taken a very large sample of students and combed through their results, which I haven't done and haven't got time to do. So Treat it with caution, but I don't see why it wouldn't work. I'm trading the same way in FX as I'm trading in wheat, as I'm trading in the equity indices, the bond market. So to think that it shouldn't work elsewhere seems odd, but I have to put that caveat out there. Otherwise, I'd be doing you an injustice. Do you find that your strategy is more reliable on the higher time frames than the lower ones? Again, not a question I could answer easily because I only trade it on a lower time frame of 5 minute on one market. So on all these markets that you've seen me trade, from BTC to gold to Forex, I've never come lower than hourly. Again, I've got students that are trading on all different time frames. I've got some that swear by the 4 hourly, some that swear by the 15 minute, and some that, believe it or not, swear by the 1 minute. But I have to give the same answer as, does it work in other markets? Does it work down on a 1 minute time frame? You tell me. I would believe it would. I would have no problem taking live money and doing the same thing down on a 1 minute chart if I could be so inclined. But I can't. I'm very happy with the way I do things. But I do and have always believed that the market is fractal, and that what you're seeing on one time frame is the same as what you're seeing on all different time frames. Have you ever had feedback that it didn't work in a specific market? No. A serious question, what impact is AI going to have? I don't know, and I think we're just going to have to see what impact it has and then adapt accordingly. I'm not going to worry about it too much, but I think there is going to be big changes to come. One of the things that does concern me slightly is how easy it may become for everybody to get the kind of information that they couldn't be bothered to collect at the moment that I have spent hours, days, weeks, months collecting. So AI could put potential edge in people's hands a lot quicker. And that is slightly concerning, but you just got to adapt. I think it is possible for people to already do that, but I guess what I'm saying is it's not in the hands of the masses. The average person, as far as I know, wouldn't know how to ask AI to connect to live market data and tell you the probability of an inside day failure hitting the other side of the range across 20 years in the pound dollar. But I'm sure somebody can already do it. So I will leave it there tonight. The orders that I've got in Bitcoin will stay in, and I'll just keep my eye on the ATR. Dollar Canadian and dollar yen are both going to be pulled in probably about 40 minutes if they haven't filled. That dollar yen order is likely not going to go back in because I really wanted it to be past ATR, and it won't be if we close up here. So that'll be the end of that. And good job to those that got it in the futures. I didn't, obviously, because I'm here in the spot. But yeah, I think I'm going to leave it there, ledges. Wish you a great weekend and catch you here just before the Open. Cheers, guys.